All right. I'm starting to lose my voice. This is a lot of talking because there's a lot of models to cover, but we are in the final stretch. Let's go Hot Wheels Premium. I thought this would be the most interesting of the polls and one of the most interesting of the categories because Premium was on fire for Hot Wheels this year. So many cool models released in Fast and Furious, in Boulevard, and in car culture, not to mention a couple that dropped in Team Transport and in the Diorama. We had a ton of new models released, and it was incredibly competitive. But let's start with the models that you thought were the most disappointing. I'm going to show you, it's not a surprise. It almost got a quarter of the votes, 24% of the votes. It is the Baja Bouncer, and this one goes without saying. It's a great replica of a off-road Baja style truck. The only issue that collectors had, not a surprise, is that it's unlicensed. It's the first car culture model that is unlicensed. Now, I don't know what the future of this one is. I know we're already going to see it, I think, coming up in other lines. But it was by far the winner because it was unlicensed. And I'm not going to argue with it. I mean, it's the definition. You were disappointed that Hot Wheels put an unlicensed model in car culture. And that's what the most disappointing category is for. So absolutely, that was your choice for most disappointing. And I agree with you. I was bummed out that there was an unlicensed model in there. That being said, it's really, really well done. So I'm going to go one down. I'm going to show you the first licensed model that won most disappointing. And I am in complete agreement with you. This model just didn't come out right. And it is the Aston Martin Valhalla concept. We saw it twice. We saw it in the entertainment as the James Bond. I actually pulled this one just because I had it in front of me from the supercar line. I saw the car in the James Bond movie the other day. I watched it. And even though it was just in there just briefly, right? We didn't even really see it. This just doesn't replicate it. Just didn't really come out exactly maybe how it should have. And yeah, I just wasn't a huge fan of it. You guys agreed. These two were by far, it was 24% of the vote for the Baja Bouncer, 19% of the vote for the Aston Martin. Everything else was under 10%. So it was very clear what collectors considered the most disappointing, and I get both. I understand why both were in there. But let's talk best. How competitive was this? Trying to figure out what was the best Hot Wheels Premium new casting released in 2021. And, well, let's just show you. I mean, you think about everything that was released in Fast and Furious. I mean, you can already see there's 3 new castings right here that didn't make it into the top 3, just there in the background. Your third place, released fairly recently, was the 1997 Mercedes-Benz Clk Gtr. This was released in Boulevard D2 livery. We're going to see that again in 2022, coming back on a Mercedes. This is a casting that we've actually seen a basic version, but this is built from scratch by the team. By the way, I can't remember the specifics, but I was told this year that Phil Reelman, the legendary Phil Reelman, the designer of the drag bus among many other cars, including the R34 Skyline, has joined the premium team, and he's designing along with Mark Jones. So we're seeing some of his castings now coming out. He was designing for Hot Wheels ID, and now he's been doing some premium stuff, which is very, very cool. I don't know if this is one of his castings, but some of them do show up in here with the premium stuff. So I'm going to start. I was always just assuming it was Mark Jones, but now I'm going to differentiate between Mark and Phil as we see new stuff released in 22. Clk Gtr, that was your third place best. Not a surprise. Very, very cool model. The Mercedes just tend to go real strong, just like JDM. Speaking of your number 2 model, Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, the Evo, just a great replica from car culture. This was Modern Classics, right? 2 Mitsubishis released in this one, new castings, the 3000 GT, but it was the Evo that you guys went with. Not much separated this one from the eventual or from the ultimate winner in this tournament. What just missed out, I should tell you. So the Evo was second, the Clk was third. Just missing out were the 2 Toyotas that were released in the Toyota mix. The Starlet finished just behind the Mercedes-Benz. It was pretty significant, though, the top 3. They were definitely the clear winners. And then the Toyota Land Cruiser, and then the Toyota 4Runner before that. So 3 Toyotas just outside of the top 3, and then right after that was the Volvo Amazon wagon. You'll see this on lamleygroup.com a little bit later. But your winner, Mercedes tends to go strong. It was the Red Pig, the Mercedes-Benz 300 SAL 6.8 AMG, the very first AMG Mercedes. We expect to see this. It was Mercedes last year from Modern Classics, the classic Mercedes that ended up winning last year. And now we have this classic, the Red Pig, that wins this year as best premium model. In fact, this one went far in the 64 car tournament as well. Not a surprise there. Really neat to see that replicated. And I think we're going to see it again in 22 in a similar but different kind of look. All right, you want to know mine? This is where I might surprise you. Red Pig, way up there for me. The Lance Revolution, way up there for me. There were some models that I really liked that were released this year that didn't make it in, but it's just because there was just so many good models that were released. The Starlet and the Land Cruiser were very, very high up for me. I thought this Dodge Charger was a surprisingly cool casting. I liked it better than the actual Fast and Furious version. But I went with the Fast and Furious car as my best premium, and I debated and debated and debated this. I was like, is this really my number one? But every time I put it up against everything else, like, what was I most excited about? What did I like the best? And guys, this is it. This is my best premium model of 2021. It is the Hot Wheels from Fast and Furious Chevy Nova, the 1970 Chevy Nova. And I have a lot of reasons for picking this one. Starts out with, this is just a beautiful casting. It's an absolutely perfect replica of the Chevy Nova. I'm not particularly passionate about the Chevy Nova, but I love when Hot Wheels does muscle cars, and I love when Hot Wheels does muscle cars right. That's my second point. Hot Wheels has done lots of Chevy Novas in basic, in premium. We've seen it all over the place. It's been around since, especially when they really got into the muscle cars in the early 2000s. We just saw Novas left and right. I didn't like any of them. This one, I do. I think the stance is perfect. I think the fact that there's no big wheels in the back. I like this one just from a legacy standpoint, that Hot Wheels is still doing muscle, and they're doing it better than they ever have. There was another Nova casting in Boulevard, which was that cool kind of Pro Street style or whatever, but this is a perfect replica of a car and a long time coming. There's other castings. We've seen the Chevelle done right. There's others that I would love to see Hot Wheels take on. We've seen even the Charger, the new Hellephant Charger in RLC, even the 69 Camaro from RLC. I just love what they're doing with muscle right now, and I just think that this one ultimately was my favorite premium model over all of this other great stuff that was released. All right, let's do RLC. For RLC, I did it a little different as well. I didn't do a worst or most disappointing category. I just did the best, and I actually included every RLC release, considering there's not many of them, not just the new castings. I figured some of these are castings that get the RLC treatment for the first time. Some of them are repeat. I just thought it was more fun to put them all against each other. And the top three were pretty clear. They kind of ran out well ahead of everything else. So let's go with the number three. And again, I'll show these results on lamleygroup.com. 1971 Di Tommaso Mangusta was your number three with almost 9% of the vote. I think it was up there. A lot of people made comments. They loved the fact that it was chosen to be an RLC model, kind of a unique choice, executed beautifully. It's got the opening parts, even the back part opens. It's got a window on it so you can see that engine in the back. Just a very, very cool model. And the orange color on this is fantastic as well. And I think that counts in this case because, we're seeing not only new but older castings as part of this poll. So it was the Di Tommaso was your number three. Your number two, and this one was tight. The winner eventually ran away with it, but for a while these two were kind of hand in hand. And this was a hard one to not vote for either, and a significant release in 2021. It is the 64 Impala Lowrider. 2 releases this year, but you guys chose the pink one, the first release. Very, very cool. Brendan Vituski, in that you can adjust this thing. You can make it sit low. You can make it sit high. You can adjust it in all kinds of ways, giving it that hydraulic look. This one, clearly an ode to the Gypsy Rose, and a beautiful pink color, and not a surprise to be in your top 2. You knew it was going to just be in the top 3. Here's your top 1. Here's your winner. This one wasn't a surprise either because it's so cool. And this is also my choice as best RLC release of 2021. And it is this one. 1972 Skyline HT 2000 GTR. I love this for several reasons. I think a lot of you guys agree. Really beautiful release. Opening hoods. Excuse me. The side mirrors are very cool. The spoiler's done in a really cool way. I also like the fact that this is we had Junimai's casting released in 2011, which was done in a bit of a racing version. This one doesn't have the headlight covers on it. This one has a little bit more. It still has a little bit of a modified look to it, but this one has a little bit of a stock look. I love the chrome color on it. What a cool color to release this in to start. I just loved everything about this model. You guys agreed with me. This one got over a quarter of the votes against all of the other RLC releases in 2021, including like the Candy Striper Drag Bus, which actually finished in 4th, and some other cool stuff. So I am in agreement with you. That was my top of RLC. And let's finish with basic. All right, this one ended up being very interesting. The Hot Wheels basic polls, we did most disappointing and we did best. We're going to start with most disappointing. And every year in the Lamley Awards, there's something that I tend to agree or at least understand the reasoning behind people's choices. But there's always one category or one choice that I just strongly disagree with. And that was your choice for most disappointing. First one I totally understand because I understand people didn't like the style of it, but it's the 06 Pontiac Gto. Now, Brendan Vitesky's going to smile at this one. Brendan has a gasser in his garage, and he did the $55 gasser, which is one of the most popular castings ever. Brendan has the Firebird in his garage that has been replicated in several lines, including Premium, ID, and Basic, which a lot of people really love, not a surprise. And Brendan has a Pontiac GTO in his garage. Now, he doesn't have it in this drag version, but that's what he decided to modify this casting instead of just doing a stock GTO. He's like, it's probably be more interesting in the Hot Wheels world as a drag car. And you collector said, nah. But I don't mind it. It's a Hot Wheels car that one way or the other, we know that Brendan loves his Pontiacs. You guys can tell me why you voted for this one as the runner-up. But your vote for worst, I don't get. I don't understand it at all. I don't understand it at all. In fact, I considered this one as one of the best models. And I want you to make comments as to why you chose this one as your worst. Now, obviously, not everybody voted for this one, but this one got the most votes. But what the hell? The Tesla Cybertruck? As your worst model? The most disappointing of 2021? Really? Now, I have to think some people really hate the Cybertruck. I get it. It's an acquired taste, right? It doesn't look like anything else. I personally love it. I love the design of it. I think it's super unique. Very forward-thinking, obviously. Some people don't like electric cars, get real passionate about that. I don't agree with that either. I think that's the future of cars, is electric cars. So maybe it's more about the fact that you don't like the Cybertruck. You just don't like what it is, what it represents, how it looks. I don't know. Let's think in general. Maybe you don't like the fact that maybe you like the Cybertruck, but you don't like something about this casting. You'll have to tell me what it is. But you voted this as most disappointing. It's what it is what it is. You guys voted that. I completely and utterly disagree. That one was one I almost considered as my best of 2021. But we move on to the best, to the top 3 basic models. I thought Premium was going to be the most interesting, and I think it ends up being the basic because there were just such a large variety of cars, and a very surprising winner. Your number 3, and consider what, I'll give you, Land Cruiser 80 was in 5th place. The 94 Audi Avant RS2 was in 6th place. In 4th place was the Honda Civic Type R, the EK9. In 3rd place, and you can see there's a lot of good stuff, you went with this one, 94 Bugatti Eb 110 SS. I love this one too. I agree with you guys on this being up there as one of the best of the year. This is a Ryo Asada design. I think we're going to see that Rio's Rides thing on the Bugatti. I think we're already seeing the yellow starting to come out right now. But this was the first version. That blue, that signature blue, this is kind of predates what Bugatti has become, right? But it's already a legendary supercar or hypercar, whatever you want to call it. I think it's fantastic in blue. Really nice replica of a very interesting car. Era, grade A. Replica, grade A. Choice, grade A. Really cool choice. I agree with you. Your number 2, not a surprise at all as well. Lots of excitement about the McLaren F1. We've seen the GTR version done. It was done for Speed Machines. I think it just was released in basic just now. We've seen a few versions of that. But we got this really cool, just very basic, do you call a McLaren F1 stock? I guess you do. This is the street version of, what is now a multi-million-dollar collector car. But this is just a nice, clean replica of a car. I don't disagree with you guys at all. I think that one is very, very nice. But the model that you chose as number 1, just over 10% of the votes. You can see that it was fairly close, but still pretty significantly ahead of the McLaren F1, and I did not expect this to happen, but I'm not disagreeing with you because I think it's fantastic, is the Mercedes-Benz 500e. I think it's a great model as well, and Mercedes just goes, right? Won Best Premium last year, it won Best Premium this year, and it also wins Best Basic this year, which is cool to see. You guys love this one. I'm in agreement with you. I think it is fantastic. I'll give you my choice for the best new model basic here in a second. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that Mercedes was very, very nice. What's my choice? Well, I'm going to talk about this model in a little bit, but I'll just mention it quickly. No brainer for me. I like the Honda. I like the Bugatti. I went back and forth on a lot. I really like the McLaren. I like the Mercedes-Benz, but I went with the Audi. I really like the 94 Audi Avant RS2. I'm going to talk about that in a second, which might be a little bit of a hint coming up. All right, let's finish off with your choice as the best model of 2021 via the 64-car Royal Rumble. All right, I hope you agree that this new element that we added to the Lamley Awards in 2021 was easily the most fun we had, and that was the 64-car Royal Rumble tournament. I got together with several people, including those that write for the Lamley Group and contribute on lamleygroup.com, and we discussed all kinds of models from all kinds of brands, including some that I didn't cover here, like Inno64, Greenlight, M2, lots of brands, even some that are a little bit more obscure, and we came up with a list of 64 cars that we thought garnered a lot of attention, and put them all against each other, Hot Wheels, Matchbox, all these brands. And you guys voted from 64 down to 2 and down to the eventual winner. And how much fun was it to pick that winner? All right. So I'm going to show you the final 4. This was what I loved. It was 4 different brands. I was wondering if it would just end up being all Hot Wheels just because Hot Wheels tends to get the most attention, but it wasn't. The Tarmac Works Global 64 Zonda, Pagani Zonda R went up against, in the final 4, where are you? The Mini GT Kaito House Pro Street 510. That was one group. The other group was the Hot Wheels Rlc Hakosuka Skyline in Chrome. And here's the funny thing. The other model I don't have in my possession, which is kind of funny. It's the Para 64 Roof Porsche. That's actually just the Roof 911 RUF. It is a Porsche by silhouette, but it's actually technically a roof. But that's why I'm showing you the image right here, taken by my friend Brian, who actually has this car, who submitted it as one we should consider for the 64, and it started blowing right through and made it all the way to the final 4, to the point where I don't even have one to show. So it came down to the final 4. It was close. As a matter of fact, Junimai's Pro Street Datsun, excuse me, I'm losing my voice, beat the Tarmac Works Global 64 Pagani by just a small number of votes, 51% to 49%. And we're talking that's pretty close considering the amount of votes that we saw voting on that. I mean, thousands and thousands, to be honest. And June's Datsun 510, Pro Street 510, moved on in the final against winning 54% to 46%, Sorry, Skyline. Hot Wheels bowed out, and the Para 64, which I don't have, it ended up being that Para 64 Roof 911 versus June's Pro Street 510. Look at me. I can't even show it here, which is kind of funny. And the winner by a vote of, I think, 55% to 45% was the car I don't have. You, collectors, voted the model of the year, the Roof 911, the Rough 911, Rough 911 by Para 64, the little brand that could, the brand that many of you weren't even familiar with until we did the tournament. Then you guys all started buying them from hobby dealers. It's so funny how many people messaged me and said, oh, I didn't even know that car existed. I just bought it. I have it. And congratulations to Para 64 for having the 2021 Lamley Awards Royal Rumble Model of the Year. Is it scientific? Nope. But the Lamley Awards aren't. They're just fun. And how great is that to see a brand that I have barely covered, our riders have covered, winning the Royal Rumble tournament over some stalwarts, right? Really cool to see a brand that is a little bit more obscure winning the whole tournament. I hope we have this much fun next year, and we're definitely going to do it again. All right, my model of the year. This one, a no-brainer for me as well. I mentioned when I did the Hot Wheels Basic, which was my favorite model of the year, this one. And it's for many, many reasons. Most importantly, there is nothing that I was going to do in the Lamley Awards in 2021 without paying tribute to the great Ryo Asada. I could have picked so many of the castings he did. I went with this one. I could have picked Honda's. Of course, he was known as the Honda Guru. But the most significant moment, sadly, in 2021 was losing the fantastic guy, the fantastic person that is Ryo Asada. Not only an amazing designer for both Matchbox and Hot Wheels, he's had a massive impact on the collector world, on the car world, and individually on so many of us that were fortunate enough to know him. It was going to be a Ryo Asada design as my model of the year. I thought this one, while Honda is the best representation of Ryo's work, I really like this one as kind of a representation of what Ryo does. Ryo was so passionate about cars wherever they came from, but he also liked to pick things that were just interesting coming from different eras. We saw classic cars, we saw new cars, and when he picked the RS2 to do, I remember seeing this car. I have an attachment to a lot of cars. The RS2, the only attachment I have is living in Brazil, seeing this car for the first time and going, that's the most beautiful wagon I have ever seen. And I still consider it the most beautiful wagon. And when Ryo said he was also that passionate about that car and wanted to make it, I thought it was fantastic. This is a quintessential Ryo Asada design because it's also executed perfectly. It sits low, has the look that the RS2 back from that era had. It has the side mirrors, which Ryo always wanted to add to his castings, and then it's beautifully, beautifully detailed. Lamley Awards 2021, dedicated without a doubt to the great Ryo Asada. We miss you, Ryo. We wish you were around. You will continue to make a massive impact on our collections and our lives and everything else. We hope your legacy stays around forever, and it definitely will. Thanks everybody for watching. This was super fun. I hope you enjoyed voting. I hope you have strong opinions. Tell me what you agree with. Tell me what you don't. We're going to do this again in 22. K manufacturers, give us a lot of stuff to vote on. Thanks everybody. Bye.